because you can have the greatest amount of success in a business, but if you don't have any personal relationships that are enriching, that are better, that are growing, that are deeper in love, what do you really have?
You are listening to Leverage's, drumroll please, Success Stories, where we chat with clients and team members to delve into the tasks done at Leverage. I'm Brittney and I am Head of Client Success here in the remarkable Leverage land, and these are our stories.
So we are kicking off today's podcast with a story of dating while married. Sounds scandalous, I know, but if you're listening to this while married, you might want to consider picking up dating again. Here with me today is Scott. Scott Ballard is a natural coach full of encouragement, accountability, and questions to transform your business and his life experience. Scott is a coach, author, speaker, and has helped his clients achieve the results they need while holding on to Scott's belief in them and their business. Scott does his coaching one-on-one and in group settings, both virtually and in person, in the global marketplace. Scott and his wife Orlena are business partners and have been married for 37 years, but say they've been dating for 40. What is it like to be a married couple and work together?
Do you want to go first?
Oh, it seems like we've always done this. It's been good. You know, the kids are out of the house, so we're together all the time now. We have our own working ways of doing things, but we just enjoy being together. So I think that's why it works.
Yeah.
And always have. We're best friends.
Best friends. I think that makes the working thing work so well. And also working together is also a way of coaching or setting an example for our clients of how to not only have success in your business, but to more importantly, have success in your most important relationships. Because you can have the greatest amount of success in a business, but if you don't have any personal relationships that are enriching, that are better, that are growing, that are deeper in love, what do you really have? Yeah. And that's kind of how we've evolved to where we're at 40 years in.
40 years in. Do you have any advice for anyone that is doing really well in one of those areas? How interconnected do you think that they are?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we've written about this, that let's say, for example, you have somebody, a younger man or a woman that has done very well in their business in the marketplace. And they've learned certain things, success principles, business principles that have helped them grow a very successful business. Our thought, what we've experienced is that those things immediately are transferable over to relationship building. Because, for example, focusing on your customer's needs, just as a simple example, is exactly what my strategy is in her. And so out of that came the Thursday night date night that we've been able to use with Leverage, and to enhance and actually have a strategy about spending time with her, having questions already pre-scripted or ready to have a meaningful conversation. And so that's a strategy, just like asking your customer, what are your needs, what are your pains, your problems, and how can we help you with them? So all of this, it is our founding, our belief that all of this is applicable back and forth. And if you have a great relationship and you're struggling with your customers or retaining your customers, apply what you've done in that great relationship to your customer, and you'll have that kind of success. This is different thinking. I realize that for a lot of people, they'll be like, well, no, business is business, and relationship, marriage, friendship, whatever you want to call it, is a different thing. I would argue that they're both driven by human relationship, and the fundamentals of those we have found over 40 years to be identical. And so we don't take those things off when we leave the work or the business, and we don't take them off when we go into work. We practice the same things to build a lifetime. Our goal is to build lifetime relationships with our customers, and then with each other and our children, our friends, our family for a lifetime, not for a month or a year, but for the long term.
And that doesn't mean we're talking about business 24/7.
Right.
It's just the principles of the relationship or principles, how you take care of your customers, or how he takes care of me, and vice versa.
What I really love about that is it sounds like you're really just creating the space to be authentic all of the time and really value the people portion of all of these elements. Even if you're a business or a customer can't have a relationship with a business. They have a relationship with the people inside of the business. And
Right.
you are truly highlighting that, which I think is really missing in the marketplace. You had brought up Thursday date nights, and we haven't even talked about those. But the task that we're highlighting today is the task that you posted on the Leverage board to set up date nights on Thursdays. So I know that you posted the task, but I find it hard to believe that that's the beginning of its story. So what led you to even posting that task in the first place?
Well, one of our favorite things to do, anyways, is to go out to eat. We do that all the time. But we tend to get in a rut, and you go to your favorite restaurant. You get bored. You just have the same habits all the time. So I think that's where, I don't know. It was his idea totally, and I have loved it because we live in an area that is known to be a foodie place.
Where
And
do
we have
you live?
all these Pardon?
Where do you live?
Live in Portland, Oregon, or a suburb of Portland. And there's hundreds of restaurants, thousands probably.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
people come here just to vacation
and eat.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're not Paris, but I
No.
guess for the States we're pretty close. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's gotten us out of our rut to try new places and new things too, which has been kind of fun.
So to build a relationship, you have to invest, and you have to keep taking it to a bigger level, right? And so part of this was to say that one of my strengths is not being creative about finding new experiences for us to share together as far as around eating. And I do a good job because we travel a fair amount around the world. I do a good job when I'm in a different country. But because we have lived here for 40 years, I've kind of fallen into these favorite 2 or 3 restaurants, which is not good. So so when we gave the task, it was so great because there was all these restaurants that we'd heard about or didn't know about or whatever that we got to experience. But what it actually did for me is it freed up my mind, my thinking, which is just really important, from something I wasn't really skilled at or didn't really have a great ability at, to then not have that take up my mind space, but to then focus on what conversation or what question am I going to ask her to get to know, to love her, to serve her, to be in a deeper relationship with her during this time of this date. Because before I was always preoccupied. Okay, well, we can go here, we can go here. It became a barrier. So we just kind of.
He was always asking me, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Oh, I don't care."
She doesn't care. So.
It's been really nice just having a place.
So we just go where Lindsay sends us, and we have to give her credit because she has done the most amazing job. It doesn't hurt also that it's Portland and it's a place where there's so many amazing restaurants, but she has just done a fabulous job of sending us all over the city. And we look forward every week to Thursday night to the new adventure together to go and do that. And it's just worked marvelously. It's been seamless. And it really is something where you can't even put a dollar value to it, because what we're investing in is the next 40 years of our relationship. And so you can't really put, money around that or whatever. This is about a lifetime experience. And I'm going to be 59 next week, and you're 58.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to build on this. I don't think this is a new step, but I think it's only the first step. Going forward, I think we'll build on it. We've already have some new thoughts for Lindsay for our next thing that we want to do. And now we can do it traveling. So we travel quite a bit, so we can connect with her and say, okay, we're going to be in Lake Como, Italy next month. We're going to be in Stuttgart. We're going to be in Greece, wherever we're going to be, and we don't know. We haven't maybe been to this city, and she's great at finding those places. And she knows what we like now, which is even better. So,
So she's gotten to know you along the way, and
and we cherish her. She's become part of our family and
our team.
She's on our team, and
which is awesome.
She has a very important role. I don't think at times she realizes how meaningful the work that she does for us is. We have a lot of people that are part of our company in some way and part of our team, but nobody's more important than Lindsay and what happens on Thursday night, because if we don't have this, then we don't have anything. So, we can do all the work, we can help all the companies, all the business people experience success, but if we're not having success in our relationship, it all doesn't really matter.
As you so eloquently put earlier, the relationship is with the people, and it seems like you and Lindsay have really built up a relationship, which has allowed you to put trust in her on this really, as you've said, very important element of your lives, and freed up some of your brain space.
The beauty of leverage is everyone is using their unique abilities. Clients join to outsource tasks, freeing up their time and minds to focus on the work they're passionate about. Our team, too, does the work that is within their unique abilities. This equates to a community filled with people who are all doing work where their passion and talent intersect. The other side of this task equation is Lindsay Holland, the kindler behind the flame and freer of brain space.
So, why were you interested in doing the task of creating date nights for Scott and Orlena?
When Scott and Orlena asked me to do this task, I thought it was such a fun idea. As a girl, as a romantic, it's fun to go on date nights, and to be able to plan them for someone else was something that I was like, well, this will be such a cool opportunity. And I had all these ideas, and Scott and Orlena are just awesome people to work with as well. They were up for pretty much anything, and we're just like, we just want to go out once a week, eat dinner, have a nice time together, work on a relationship. And so I just feel really privileged that they let me into that process, and that they trust me so much to help pick great places for them to go.
And they do. They told me on my interview with them previously how much they trusted you, and you'll take so much off of their mind and let them focus on being together by just planning their date nights. So they think this whole thing has been very special for them. What was your inspiration for creating their date nights? Did you have anything you drew from?
At first I asked them if there were specific places or types of food that they were interested in, any allergies or anything like that. And they gave me, some of their favorite kinds of foods, and kind of a general area of where they would want to go in the area. And so just from that, I tried to find kind of a variety. So switching it up between really elegant to kind of more fun to different parts of the city. And it's just really fun.
What date night did you create for them that you are most proud of?
I don't know. Man, that's a good question. There is one that just looked beautiful, and it was near the river, and it had place on the water you could sit, and it just looked like it would be really romantic. So that was one. There's another one I'm not sure they've done yet, but it's also supposed to be more spontaneous and fun, and there's actually all kinds of games, board games, table games, interactive games that you can actually do while eating dinner. So it's very casual. I'm not sure if they've done that one yet, but it sounded fun to me.
Impact. I can't think of a better way to give our lives meaning. What is the impact we've had on the Ballards? There's only one way to find out.
So I'm curious, with that brain space and these questions that you've come up with to get to know Orlena, what have you discovered about her along the way?
Yeah. So that's good. So one of the things I've discovered is that if I have just one or two or three questions for a date night, that the conversation becomes much more real and honest and of much more depth. And there's a lot. Everybody thinks, well, after 40 years, you would know everything about somebody. But there's a lot that I have learned that I didn't know or wasn't aware of or has changed. Because as we grow, we change and we develop and we mature and we learn things. And I think learning this new partner after 40 years is kind of like going back to dating right after we got out of high school. We started dating a month after we graduated from high school. And it's kind of reminds me of that experience of the first dates, and going, wow, this is an amazing person. And then, being excited to be together again and go, okay, I want to learn about this, her family, her background, what makes her tick, what she's interested in. So we're kind of really all doing that again. And we've just left the season. We've raised 3 kids. They're all married now, and we have a granddaughter. And so they're kind of all doing their own life. So now we're kind of reconnecting and going, okay, what do we want to do with the rest of our future together? What does that look like? But you have to start with where that person's at.
Sounds like you've really given each other enough space to grow and transform and are re-falling in love with each other all the time. That's really inspiring.
Yeah.
It is like a new season, new relationship.
Yeah.
Which is fun. It makes it exciting.
It reminds us of being first married before kids, and we didn't realize what a gift it was in the sense of we could just pick up and go to the beach, or we could just spontaneously say we're going to catch a flight to San Francisco and just spend the day on the wharf or whatever. And when we were very engaged with our kids, and we're grateful for that time. But now we're back and we're like, okay, well, we can do this. We could do date night every Thursday night because there's not soccer practice, or there isn't a college, function that we need to be at, or whatever. And so we're trying to really take advantage, or as you guys would say, we're trying to leverage this time, to this time that we've been given to enhance it as much as we can.
Can you tell me about your favorite date so far?
I think it would be probably the first time we went to Nuestra Cocina. Yeah. And he pulled out the question thing for me, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay, this is fun. We had some questions and you kind of turn it back and forth. So you're each talking.
Yeah.
And that was fun. And that's actually at one of our most favorite restaurants now too. It's Italian food. It's wonderful.
That's farm to table, Italian.
Yeah.
It's in Southeast Portland. It's won all kinds of awards.
Yeah.
It's our default. So if we're out and we don't know what to do, we just drive there. So they know us pretty well. Yeah. So I
would say that with and then doing the questions that time.
Yeah.
Which was fun because
well, set a different level of expectation in our minds. I think for both of us to we've been dating for 40 years, but now we want to date with a purpose. Like the purpose is that I want to get to know you deeper. I want to know how I can serve you, love you, be better in this relationship. And so one of the things she said that I don't want people to miss is that this isn't a one-sided thing, meaning that I'm just asking questions or she's just asking, but we ask each other the same question and then give room for that person to answer it. That may be 10 seconds. That can be an hour. And we've experienced both. So that was my favorite date also, because we probably were there 3 or 4 hours, which in America is not normal for a meal. In Europe and other places in the world we've been, it is considered normal. So So I think just the time alone, uninterrupted, just focusing on listening to one another, really kind of kicked it off. And it was the right restaurant, the right environment, and I don't know how Lindsay knew that, or I don't know how she goes about finding all these things. I was born in the 50s, so my first go isn't go to get the internet. I like to hear people's experiences at restaurants, I like to hear their, what was it like? What was the experience? What were the, what was the staff like? What was, what did the chef do and all that? But, so yeah. I think we both, at that point, we knew, wow, okay, this could be something really special. And this will be a part of our life, ongoing. It's like something you install and you go, okay, that gets a great benefit for us long term.
Because we found we don't do it on the weekend. We do it on a Thursday night because weekends can kind of get crazy with family, and it's easy, something else comes up on the weekend and you end up having to cancel. So we found Thursday nights a good night because consistently we're pretty available on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
And we do miss it if we have to change it up. Do you know what I mean? If something comes up, but I just let her know and say, hey, we want to do that restaurant, so put it at the end of our thing and we'll try it later, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Don't forget this one.
We haven't missed a lot.
No, we haven't.
Even when we've traveled, we've stayed pretty consistent to it. And it's blocked out on our calendar, so you can't schedule. We can't schedule coaching. We can't schedule other things into that place. Now, if it's one of our children's birthdays or something else is happening, but it has to be pretty high on the scale to bump the date night.
Even our friends know that's our date night.
Yeah, we've trained people that don't, like, tonight, it's not going to be Thursday night.
We can't really do Thursday night, so that's our date.
We've gotten some interesting responses.
And it may seem strange because we've been married so long, but I think we've persuaded other people that it's a good thing to look at and try to do to date your spouse. You need to do that. We do a lot of premarital counseling and stuff, and we encourage these young couples keep dating after you're married.
Yeah.
So,
it seems like people fall into the rut where they don't feel like they have to do the work of a relationship. And I know work is a hard word for people to think about in a loving relationship, but it is work. And you have to invest time and resources and have a plan, a strategy. Once again, it's no different than running a business, but it's the most important relationship in your life. And yet we don't do any of that. And then we expect it to be great 10 years later. We were meeting with a young couple the other day, and it was very interesting. They're getting married end of September, something like that. And it was just interesting because we were talking about this subject, and they were like, they hadn't really thought about past the wedding, how that they would continue to date and have passion and be connected and grow deeper. And we're kind of like, you need to figure that out now before you say I do and you go on the honeymoon. You need to have that in place. And so it's not taught about, it's not thought about. And it's a shame because there's so much joy and there's so much love and there's so much goodness that can come out of it if you will be intentional about it. And that's what we're after, is all of that. We're not going to settle for just being roommates or being, and there's a lot of that now. And it kind of, quite frankly, it breaks our heart because you see it in each of the people. Like, we'll be at dinner on date night and you'll watch a younger married couple or couple that is together, and you can already tell that there is no depth to their relationships 10 minutes to sitting the table over from them. And you're like, ooh, that's not going to end well. It just isn't. Yeah. I don't know.
So if you were to create a formula for the perfect date, it sounds like there's consistency, there is ambiance, trying something new, outsourcing what you're not good at and really focusing your energy on the things that you're good at, running your fingers through the other person's soul. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, I would say a couple of other things. One thing I would add to that, dress up. And I know that sounds for guys, that's like, no, I don't want to do it. You need to do that. And I would also say for women, don't forget that for a man, when you dress up or a little nicer, I'm not saying formal, but just it speaks volumes to men, how they perceive that time, that date, that situation. This a little note of encouragement there. Number two, have a thought or a question, at least one, for the other person.
Could you give us some examples of the questions you ask each other on these dates?
Yeah, so here's the question. So what can I do to better serve you in our relationship? What's one thing that I can do to better serve you in our relationship? Tell me about an experience when you were a child where you experienced great joy. What were you doing? Who were you with? What was that all about? What would make you feel more loved in this situation? So, whatever that is. So for us, that question is working together, because we have to, there's decisions that have to be made, or things that I might say, well, I think we should do it this way. She might do it this way. How do we lovingly work through that? Like, what does that look like? What is your expectations for our relationship in the next year? How's it going to get better? That's a pretty big question right there. I mean, where do you see our relationship in the sense of love, peace, joy, happiness, being unified a year from now? What does that look and feel like for you? That's a great question, I think, particularly for a man to ask a woman, because then she can speak out of her emotion. So the guy has to be ready to listen, because she's going to talk for an hour. Because she knows that, right? I mean,
He's the talker in the family.
No, but you have
but
a lot.
This gives me space. This gives me space.
Yeah, she has a lot to say about that, because that's her language, So, it's things like that. And then sometimes it can be as simple as where would be a place that we haven't been yet on vacation
that you'd like to go,
that you would love to go, in the next year or two or whatever. And so we're going to Germany, Italy, and Greece in September and October for 3 weeks. And, Italy is like her favorite place in the world. So we're going to go there. Those are some things. And then I would add this as a side note, make it romantic in the sense of not only the meal, but what you're drinking. She likes wine. I'm not a wine person, so she'll have some really nice wine. I'm from Portland, and I like the craft beer thing. And so, but it's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be enjoyable. You have to try to be able to turn off the business of the day.
Oh, turn your phone off.
Oh, that's a big one.
I will add that to the formula also.
Turn it off.
If you have a Fitbit or something, turn the notifications off, so your wrist or your Apple Watch, so it's not buzzing all during dinner.
It would be our recommendation to leave those in the car. So any distractions that takes away from the two of you being fully connected, they need to be removed.
Yeah.
The rest of the world stops. I mean, that sounds weird, but our friends know now. Thursday night, if they text, they call, or they try to plan something, or we're going to have a big party at somebody's house or do something, and we're like, no, not happening.
We've made it a priority.
Yeah, I can see that. So when you post this task to have a date night and you're outsourcing the logistical part that you don't want to do, you're spending your time, brain space coming up with questions. Orlena, what are you doing with your free brain space?
Oh, gosh.
Buying a new dress.
Shopping.
Seriously? I encourage it. I'm like, it's part of it.
It's fun to dress up, Yeah. Do something fun like that. It's nice not having that worry. Oh gosh, I've got to figure out where we're going to eat, or what we're doing, or what I'm fixing for dinner. It's great. Yeah. and it's something I really look forward to. And I do, put on fresh makeup, change your clothes, put a fun dress on, and it's like dating all over again, which is nice. And I think that's a lost art these days, dating your spouse.
Yes, it is. Today's Thursday. Do you guys have a date tonight?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it got moved.
It got moved this week.
It's
But
we moved it to the end. It had to get moved because we had a family thing that we have to be at.
We
So
got birthday stuff coming here.
Yeah. So,
that's funny. That's a Thursday that we're talking.
So we've missed what, 2?
I think so. Yeah.
Since,
but I emailed her and I said, hey.
Oh, she just moved it.
Yeah. Can you just move it for me? And that's the convenience. I don't have to do it. I don't have to go in and reset it. She goes, and I get her back from her. It's rescheduled. You're set. Put it, 3 months. She books this like 2 or 3 months down the road.
It's at least 3 months.
Yeah. It's set like in November or something.
Yeah.
Great.
We're booked through Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I think. And we'll be reaching out to her Thanksgiving because we'll actually be in Hawaii on Maui. So she'll have to find us a date night dinner there.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
Yeah. That'll be good.
Do you have, what was one piece of advice that you give to people when you're doing your premarital counseling, or anyone that's in a relationship now listening? What would be your one piece of advice you would give them?
If you want to have a relationship that lasts for a lifetime, it's about commitment, not about emotion or feelings or love. It's about saying that you're committed to this person for a lifetime. And if you can start there, then you can build love and passion and joy and peace and all the things that we all want. But first you have to say, I'm committed to this and I'm going to do the work.
No matter what.
No matter what. It doesn't, because there's going to be good and bad times. I mean, that is the reality of all of our lives. There's peaks and valleys to everything. And if you don't have the commitment and you're depending on this emotion that we see so many people dependent on, that's going to wane, And one of the other things that she's really taught me about a relationship is we're never both down at the same time. So if I've had a rough day or a rough week or something's happened, she is way up here and vice versa. And I think that, but that only comes from learning each other.
Yeah. Recognizing, when that person's not at their best.
Or they're tired, or they're not feeling well, or something's happened externally that has bothered or upset them, or, and that's the real world. So you have to really kind of be there to not only be committed, but to protect that person and bring relief to them in the sense of, okay, what can I do this evening to help them process that, to help them through that? Maybe they just need to go to bed early and sleep an extra 2 or 3 hours. That can be that can change, for me, that changes my next day.
It's very impactful. What is it that you've grown to love and appreciate most about Orlena?
After 40 years?
Yes.
This is going to sound very unromantic to the women in the audience, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. Remember, I'm a guy, so this is from a guy's perspective. So here's what I would say, and there's a close second, third, but I would say that her loyalty and belief in me, no matter the circumstance or the situation, is the one thing that I cherish the most. And it's been unwavering for 40 years. And that is a challenge that I throw out to all women that are in a relationship with a man. For a man, that is the secret sauce. Mm-hmm. And that really shows up in the way that her respect for me has never changed since our first date till now.
Orlena, how do you do it?
40 years is a generation.
How do I do it? I do it because I'm married to a man that is the greatest encourager. He encourages me. He's known as an encourager by other people, but I think I recognized that and fell in love with him for that. He And he makes my life exciting. It's never boring, you know? And I think he has my back and I have his. Just having that relationship, he says I'm loyal to him, but he is loyal to me. It goes both ways. Mm-hmm. And I have no doubt that he's always got my best interest at heart, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm well loved. I can say that I'm a well-loved woman. But he's a great encourager. Yeah. And that's something I have always desired in my life, is encouragement and positivity. Who doesn't desire that? But he's especially good at that.
It really does sound like your relationship is so filled with love. It's just overflowing into the lives around you, and that you're able to give that because you are supporting each other.
It makes life more interesting.
Yes, I can imagine.
I think there's an epidemic of people that, because they haven't done some of these things, worked in it like they work in their business, I think they've actually become bored in their relationship. You said that. I mean, and it's because they have not taken the risk to ask the question, or they haven't spontaneously said, okay, tomorrow we're going to the airport and we're going to go to San Francisco for the weekend and just be about the two of us, or whatever that is. They lack the courage to actually make the commitment to do the work, to have that relationship, because you cannot buy it. It's not for sale, which in this world, people say everything's for sale. It is not. It is only earned through a long-term investment. So that's my challenge I would throw out to anybody that's listening to this. Take a risk for the one that you love today. Take a risk for the one that you love today in some big way. That's my challenge to you. Do something so out of the box that it startles them back into the relationship. Even if it shocks them, at least they're there, they're engaged, and they're present now. And then deeply reach into their soul and say, how can I love you better? Like, that's my goal today. My grandfather, which I never did get to meet, he died of MS at a young age, but my mother tells the story of him every morning waking up, and his first question was, how can I serve and love Bernice better today? So that's our legacy. So we have people who have gone before us. So what can we do today radically to love that person that we're with? What can we do? We don't want to leave this podcast and just say, okay, well, they're two crazy people that, there's 2 people out of 8 billion that are doing this. No, you can have this, but you have to be intentional, and you have to say, okay, this is a priority, and I'm going to take a risk. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do something way outside the box. And I'll guarantee you, she will respond. Take her to, the finest French or Italian or whatever restaurant tonight. Bring flowers. Bring the chocolates. Bring 3 questions. Look into her eyes. Leave your phone, your computer, your all technology out in the car, and plan on being there until they close the door and say, okay, you have to go home now. And see where that evening ends up, because I think you'll be blown away.
I'm already blown away.
All we have is today. There is no tomorrow in a relationship. Someday never comes. You're not going to do it a year from now, 6 from now, when everything is perfect, because it never comes. You have today in this relationship. What are you going to do today to make it a great experience today for her or him? What are you going to do?
Well, for those of you listening, do it and write in and tell us all about it. I'll do it tonight. I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Yes,
okay.
we're expectant.
Yes, I will email you both. I will tell everyone the story of how it goes. So where can our listeners go to learn more about you? You said you had written some content.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Confidence
a website.
coach. Confidencecoach.org.
Confidencecoach.org, and we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and email us if you want to talk. We have a 30-minute free consultation that we offer. There's no obligation. If you want to talk about your relationship, if you want to talk about how do I start doing this, and you just need a kick in the pants, which a lot of guys do. I mean, it's true. Let's talk about it. And I think I can inspire you, encourage you, and hold you accountable to loving her well. That's really the goal. Love her well and be shocked by the response. Because if you do this, you do it with intentionality and you stay with it. That's the other thing. This is not a one-off thing. If I am loving her well, I'm intentionally day in and day out, week in and week out, doing things that are increasing that in our relationship.
So taking a page out of your book, what can I do to serve you better?
Well, I will say, I think you've already done it. I think by doing this podcast and making this available, and I know you have a huge audience, I think that's what we want. We want to stimulate the conversation, right? We want people to take this from the back of their mind to the front of their mind and actually take action. And if people that have been together 40 years can be this excited, animated, engaged in a relationship, and you've only been together 4 years or 4 months or 14 years, wow, I say to you, what could you be at 40 years?
Or even 20 years,
I mean, what could your relationship be if you practice this on a day in and day out? This was part of your lifestyle. I think this whole idea of having a great marriage, a great relationship would not be something where people that can't believe when they meet us that we've been together 40 years. It's like they can't believe that we can still be holding hands on an airplane 40 years later. And I'm like, but that's the goal, right? Why did I get married if not for that? I mean, so that's what we want to have happen. So you've already served us incredibly well because you have a great platform. We love the whole leverage idea and what you're doing and what's going on. And we're exploring a part of leverage, and we do have a couple other ideas that I don't think leverage is even thought about. And it's being successful in business. Okay, that's great, and that's there. But what about the rest of your life? And how can leverage produce great, loving relationship for a lifetime? How can that service actually remove the barriers, the obstacles, so that we can have quality time with our husband or wife, and it can grow into a deeper and deeper and more loving thing? I mean, I guess that's how you're serving us, because we're being able to look at this differently. And we look at it now as a really important part of our relationship. And like I said, we have some other ideas of how we're going to expand on using that.
And I can't wait to hear about them.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, I know you can hear it in their voices, very smiley. But I want you to also just imagine the two most animated people that you've ever seen, lingering glances at one another, sly smiles, giggling. It is like looking at a newly married couple. It is really amazing. So again, I encourage you all to do their call to action and reinvigorate your love life and do something crazy and spontaneous today. Mm-hmm. And thank you both for being on. This was really inspiring, and I am so happy to be sharing your story with our listeners. I think it's going to have the impact in people's lives that they've been waiting for, bringing in that people element to business.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're excited to hear about what you're going to do tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, I already know it's going to be epic. Yes. Probably more of like an activity, maybe like rock climbing or kangaroo jumping. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I'm actually also.
If you are looking to replicate Scott and Orlena's loving, fulfilling relationship and ready to start dating, here's an easy formula. Consistency plus curiosity plus caring. Consistently commit to your date night or date day, what have you. Be curious, try new things, and genuinely try to continue to get to know the other person. And finally, care. However it is you show somebody you care about them, care enough to dress up or to find the perfect place to spend time together. Give it a try and let us know how it goes by emailing us at admin@getleverage.com. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time on Success Stories as we will continue the theme of love. And here's a sneak peek.
So I am Brittney, head of client success at Leverage, and I'm here today with our client Juliana Dawson, author of Inspiring Words, Love's Journey. And I hope it's not too cheesy to say, but I'm really looking forward to and excited about going through a journey of love with your inspiring words. Let's actually just start with you introducing yourself to our listeners.
Okay. Hi, I'm Juliana Dawson. I am a motivational speaker, a poet, and author of the Inspiring Words series of books, Inspiring Words, Love's Journey, and Inspiring Words, Finding Yourself.